Hey guys, 212-222-212. Hello, if you're listening to this. Just testing my mic. 212, check.
That's 88 miles per hour. You're gonna see some serious
of the Big Nerd Pub Quiz, coming to you live from the Harbourside Studios here in sunny Warren Point, County Down, although the weather has taken a little bit of a change since we shot all this fantastic drone footage a couple of weeks ago. Good to see you all. Hope you're all keeping well. We've got a great quiz for you tonight. 8 rounds of tricky trivia quiz questions coming your way on a wide range of topics. So yes, get ready to play the Big Nerd Pub Quiz. If this is your first time, you're very, very welcome. So, scan the QR with your phone to access the Google answer sheet, or just copy the link in the description of the video below. Very, very straightforward. All you do is open up the Google Doc answer sheet. You'll see an option to enter your team name. An email address is also required to submit the form. There's 8 rounds, 6 questions each, only 1 correct answer per question, and no trick questions. I don't do those. Answer the questions as they're asked. You have an option of up to 4 answers per question in the multiple choice. Once the quiz is over, all you have to do is press submit. You'll get your scores, but stick about for the answers, and I'll be posting the final standings at the very end. Hopefully my computer's not too slow tonight. And I'll be announcing the winners at the very end. So yes, will you have bragging rights tonight? Just wait and see and play. Yes, Big Nerd Pub Quiz on Harbourside Radio social media every Sunday night at 8 p.m. live on HarboursideRadio.com and on the Big Nerd Pub Quiz YouTube channel. Also, don't forget, you can give us a shout out, like, and subscribe all the different social media channels there: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Don't forget to smash and like that subscribe button. All the quizzes that we've done over nearly a year now, all up on the channel. Everything from Harry Potter to Star Wars, Star Trek, Lord of the Rings. We've done Game of Thrones, we've done Disney, you name it, we've covered it. If you have any ideas, by all means, fire them over to me, BigNerdPubQuiz@gmail.com. Let me know where you want the quiz. Also, you can hire the Big Nerd Pub Quiz for private events. It's perfect activity for social distancing, fully customizable questions and graphics, and it's really easy and affordable to set up. Just drop us an email there. Also, like I said, you're listening on Harbourside Radio, and we have an appeal on the moment. Head over to Harbourside Radio's Facebook page for the GoFundMe link. We're trying to keep the community alive, keeping Harbourside Radio on the air during these lean times. So most of the time I actually make an appeal for people to donate to the quiz itself, but no, I'm asking tonight for everyone to head over to the GoFundMe page. It's on Harbourside Radio. If you look us up, there's a post there on the Instagram, on Facebook. If you look us up, Harbourside Radio, the GoFundMe. It's really, really, really important. We're trying to raise money to keep the station afloat, and it's going to a really worthy cause, I have to say. The station has been an absolute light over the last couple of months for myself, and they've been very, very, very accommodating for me and my crew. In fact, they produced all this here, all the green screen and everything that you can hear tonight. And tonight, like I said, guys, some big announcements to make. For St. Patrick's Day, Harbourside Radio is putting together a virtual St. Patrick's Day, which is going to go on for about 8 hours. We're going to be showing this all off to the Americans as well. Midnight their time, midnight our time, until about 8 o'clock in the morning, and then rebroadcasting the material again on our website. Amazing. And also, our radiothon on the 20th of February, so about 24 hours, and then the Big Nerd solid round, but more or less a current affairs round, a mashup of kind of stuff that's been happening in and around the news this week. But anyway, let's not waste any more time and fire on with tonight's quiz. Round number 1 coming your way this evening. Let's see how you get on with this. Best of luck, guys. Hope you've all got the answer sheet there ready. Here we go. Round 1, question 1 of tonight's quiz, the last one of January. Here we go. Round 1, question number 1. Targeting American insurance Question number 2. Kaja Kallas became the first female Prime Minister of which Eastern European country this week? It's your second. Moving on, round 1 question. The big 2021 film star, Ray Fiennes, archaeologist, is about an archaeological discovery. Question 4. NASA's Perseverance rover is 3 weeks from landing on which planet in the solar system? That's round 1, question 4. Round 1, question 4. So round 1, question 4. NASA's Perseverance rover is 3 weeks away from landing on which planet in the solar system? It's round 1, question number 4. Round 1, question 5. Hilton Valentine, who sadly passed away this week, was a guitarist for which 1960s rock band? It's round 1, question 5. So round 1, question 5. Hilton Valentine. Sadly passed away this week, was a guitarist for which 1960s rock band? Round round one, question number 5. And your final general knowledge question this week, round one, question 6. Jesse Lingard was signed out on loan from Manchester United to which Premier League club? That's round one, question number 6. So round one, question number 6. So Jesse Lingard signed out on loan from Manchester United to which Premier League club? They were playing today. If you were watching the football, I don't know. I don't think he was playing today. I'm not sure, but it'd be interesting to see how that went down. Round one, question 6. Round one, question 6. And there's your roundup of questions here tonight. So, coordinated short squeeze targeting American hedge funds caused which company's stock price to spike? That's round one, question 1. Round one, question 2. Kaja Kallas became the first female prime minister of which Eastern European country this week? 3. The Dig, a 2021 film starring Ralph Fiennes and Carey Mulligan, is about the archaeological discovery of what object? 4. NASA's Perseverance rover is 3 weeks away from landing on which planet in the solar system? 5. Hilton Valentine, who sadly passed away this week, was a guitarist for which 1960s rock band? And number 6. Jesse Lingard was signed out on loan from Manchester United to which Premier League club this week? That's your roundup there of general knowledge questions. Alright, okay, so we're having a bit of sound issues tonight, but hopefully we'll power through those. And like I said, worst comes to worst, you can always read the questions. I always try to sneak a quiz question in about space because I'm a massive space geek, so that might be a clue about some other rounds coming up. But like I said, if you want a shout out at any point tonight in the quiz, by all means get in touch with me via all the different social media channels: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube and Twitter, and I'll try to give you a shout out at some point. So anyway, moving on to the second round tonight. Here we go, round number 2. And if you've been following the quiz, we always do round number 2 about music. Yes, it's one of those things when I'm writing the quizzes every week, I tend to keep them roughly the same in terms of output. But anyway, tonight's theme of the music round is final albums. I'm going to give you the list of 6 final albums from 6 very famous groups, bands or artists. All you have to do is figure out which artist recorded those tracks. So here we go, round number 2. Question number 1. Let's see how well you do with this one. I'm obviously not going to give you any album art because I think that would give it away a little bit too much. So anyway, round 2, question number 1. Strange Ways, Here We Come. Final album of which band or artist? So round 2, question 1. Strange Ways, Here We Come. Round 2, question number 1. Round 2, question number 1. Round 2, question 1. Strange Ways, Here We Come. Second one, round 2, question 2. Black Star. Final album of which artist, band, musician, act? It's the final one. Round 2, question number 2. So round 2, question 2. Black Star. Final album, which artist or band? Anyway, round 2, question number 2. Moving on. Round 2, question... I think I know why the music was mental. Anyway, round 2, question 2, Black Star. Round 2, question 3, Dig Out Your Own Soul. So round 2, question 3, Dig Out Your Own Soul. And that's the final album by which artist? It's round 2, question number 3, Dig Out Your Own Soul. Final album from which group? If you're a big fan, you'd probably get this, but it's one of those ones. I don't think it's a classic. It's not considered a classic. Same with this one. Round 2, question 4. In Through the Outdoor. Final studio album. I have to bear in mind. A lot of these bands actually did obviously record either compilation albums or best of albums afterwards. But these are all final studio albums. Okay, so final studio albums as recorded by the band. Round 2, question 4. In Through the Outdoor. Final album by which group? It's round 2, question number 4. Next one, round 2, question 5. Collapse Into Now. It's the final album by which group, artist, band. Collapse Into Now. Let's see. Round 2, question number 5. Round 2, question 5. Collapse Into Now. And finally, round 2, question 6. Icky Thump is the final studio album by which group? Icky Thump. Final one there. Alright, and there is your roundup there of music. I'm looking for the artists and their final studio albums there. So Strange Ways, here we come. At number 1. Number 2, Black Star. 3, Dig Out Your Soul. 4, In Through the Outdoor. 5, Collapse Into Now. And 6, Icky Thump. Okay, so 2 down. We've got 6 more rounds to go. Like I said, I know a couple of people out there who are tuned in and listening in. Good to hear from you guys, particularly Amy and Ryan who are up in the house listening in as well. DJ Mike's tuned in too. If you want to shout out at any point, do give me a bell. Anyways, so we're moving on to the next round, and I thought I had real fun putting this one together. Really enjoyed it. This next round is all about terrible films. Thought I was going to do movie round. If we're going to do a movie round, did TV last week, going to do a movie round this week. Always alternate between the two. But yes, if we're going to do one about good movies, we're going to do ones about terrible movies. So here we go. 6 questions about some really awful films out there. So let's see how you get on with this. Round 3, question number 1. So which director, considered to be the worst of all time, made films such as Plan 9 from Outer Space and was played by Johnny Depp in a 1994 feature about his life? I have to say, I've actually seen the Riff Tracks version of this live, which is like the Mystery Science Theater 3000 MST3K version of this, but actually done live in a cinema, which was awesome. That's the only time I've actually sat and watched Plan 9 from Outer Space from start to finish. It's freaking bad. It's unwatchably bad. But then it's probably not as unwatchably bad as, say, I don't know, the holiday special from Star Wars. Now, that does take a strong stomach. But yes, which director, considered to be the worst of all time, made films such as Plan 9 from Outer Space and was played by Johnny Depp in a 1994 feature film about his life? Round 3, question 2. Who played McCavity the Mystery Cat in the critically panned musical adaptation of Cats? So round 3, question 2. Who played McCavity the Mystery Cat in the critically panned musical adaptation of Cats? Yes, there's a cut of this movie that's out there at the moment that has the anatomically correct version of the cats behind, and there's another version which doesn't. And the CGI, which I've seen, is really terrible. Like, it's not a great musical in my opinion. There are better Lloyd Webber musicals, but it's just rather weird. Anyways, round 3, question 2. McCavity the Mystery Cat. Who played that role? Round 3, question 3. The Disaster Artist is a biopic starring James Franco about the making of which 2005 bad film? I can tell you so that I've actually met the director. Me and my sister are quite obsessed with this film, and in London they do these like midnight screenings of the movie. Me and my sister went along to see it. I actually got it for her for Christmas, or was it her birthday? I actually think I got it for her 30th birthday. Actually, I took her along to see this movie in a midnight screening. I met the director of this movie as well, whom James Franco played. which was mental. But yes, The Disaster Artist, biopic starring James Franco about the making of which 2005 bad film. I do recommend it. It's brilliantly terrible. I actually do quite love it. I've watched it probably more than The Godfather. There you go. Round 3, question 4. Who directed the now cult film but critically slammed Showgirls, starring Elizabeth Berkley and Kyle MacLachlan? It's kind of a shame because this director is actually a pretty good director, and this is a bit of a weird one, but since become a bit of a cult classic. And I know, James McLean, if you're watching from Banterflix, I know you love this movie. So, round 3, question 4. Who directed the now cult film but now critically slammed Showgirls, starring Elizabeth Berkley and Kyle MacLachlan? Round 3, question 5. Which superhero film was so terrible that it gained leading actor and Oscar winner Halle Berry a Razzie for worst performance in 2005? So round 3, question 5. It's pretty terrible. I did sit and watch it once, but then again, I find a lot of superhero movies pretty samey, so I was like, oh, it was alright, and then everyone was like, oh, it was awful. I'm like, it's just like every other superhero movie to me. But which superhero film was so terrible that it gained leading actor and Oscar winner Halle Berry a Razzie for worst performance in 2005? And finally, round 3, question 6. Which director was responsible for a series of poorly received films, including The Last Airbender, The Lady in the Water, and The Happening? In fact, if you take this director's, I think, Metacritic or Rotten Tomatoes or IMDb scores, they gradually go down. He directed a particular movie in the late 90s, which was critically acclaimed, and then pretty much every other one after that went down, 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 down. But again, this guy has, has box office returns to prove that he's kind of alright director, but there we are. Anyway, round 3, question 6. Which director was responsible for a series of poorly received films, including The Last Airbender, The Lady in the Water, and The Happening? And there's your film roundup there. Movies, all about bad movies. So anyway, round 3, question 1. Which director, considered to be the worst of all time, made films such as Plan 9 from Outer Space and was played by Johnny Depp in a 1994 feature film about his life? 2. Who played McCavity the Mystery Cat in the critically panned musical adaptation of Cats? 3. The Disaster Artist is a biopic starring James Franco about the making of which 2005 bad film? 4. Who directed the now cult film but now critically slammed Showgirls, starring Elizabeth Berkley and Kyle MacLachlan? 5. Which superhero film was so terrible that it gained leading actor and Oscar winner Halle Berry a Razzie for worst performance in 2005? And 6. Which director was responsible for a series of poorly received films, including The Last Airbender, The Lady in the Water, and The Happening? Alright, so that is round 3 down. Moving on to round number 4. Like I said, don't forget to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And like I said, if you've any ideas for quiz questions or quiz rounds, by all means get in touch with me. I'm always open for ideas. It's one of those things I always find I'm going to hit a brick wall every time I write these things, but I always seem to pull it out of the bag somehow. And yep, I actually do write every question. Or at least I try to. So in case you're wondering, why don't you just nick them off the internet? I'd like to do that, but I'd rather not. So anyway, here we go. Round 4 is always about history or politics. Which is it going to be this week? History and politics, and it's about space. Sure, I love space travel and stuff like that, so real kind of pleasure throwing this together. I think we've done this before, but quite a while ago now. But I thought I'd do another space round for you guys to test your knowledge on space travel and space history and stuff like that, because I think this is always fun. Anyway, let's see how you get on with this. Round 4, question number 1. What was the name of the first dog sent into space by the Soviet Union in 1957? This is round 4, question number 1. Should bring us up nicely up into the first half once we finish this round. So round 4, question number 1. Round 4, question number 1. What was the name of the first dog sent into space? So round 1 for question number 1. What was the first name of the first dog sent into space by the Soviet Union in 1957? It's round 4, question number 1. Round 4, question 2. Who was the first American to travel into space in 1961? There's actually a great show about this on Disney Plus at the moment. It's all about the early American astronauts. And based on the Tom Wolfe novel. And also based on the movie as well. It expands on the early kind of rivalry between the 7 first American astronauts. But it's one of those guys. But which one of those was the first American to travel into space in 1961? Round 4, question 3. What was the name of the German engineer who assisted the Americans with their rocket program? So yes, the head German engineer who was responsible for designing the V-1 and the V-2 intercontinental ballistic missiles was captured by the Americans after the war and was put to work building American rockets, which would eventually take man to the moon. So a weapon of mass destruction to an instrument of peace and exploration. Round 4, question 3. The name of the German engineer who assisted the Americans with their rocket program. Round 4, question 4. Who was the first person to travel into space twice? Quite a tricky question, this. And this was actually, I think, £1 million question on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire at one point. Or one of the big ones. But round 4, question 4. The first person to travel into space twice. Who was it? Was it Russian? Was it American? Who knows? Anyway, well, I do know, actually, but, if you don't, just have a guess. Round 4, question 5. What was the name of the manned space project that came between Mercury and Apollo, the American manned space project? So, in order to get to the moon, they actually developed all these different technologies. Mercury was the first one to put the original 7 astronauts into space. Single capsuled spacecraft. And then Apollo, obviously, with the 3 crewed spacecraft to go all the way to the moon and back. But there was one in the middle that helped them develop all that technology. Rendezvous, docking, and high altitude flights and long duration missions. What was the name of that program? It came between Mercury and Apollo. So what was the name of that manned space project that came between Mercury and Apollo in the mid-60s? And finally, round 4, question 6. What was the name of the lunar module that carried Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin to the surface of the moon in 1969? That's round 4, question 6. Round 4, question 6. What was the name of the lunar module that carried Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin to the surface of the moon in 1969? And there's your roundup there of questions all about space travel. One more time to go over those. So what was the name of the first dog sent into space by the Soviet Union in 1957? 2, who was the first American to travel into space in 1961? 3, what was the name of the German engineer who assisted the Americans with their rocket program? 4, who was the first person to travel into space twice? 5, what was the name of the manned space project that came between Mercury and Apollo in America? And 6, what was the name of the lunar module that carried Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin to the surface of the moon in 1969? Okay, I think that brings us right up to the halfway point in the quiz. I got a couple of shout-outs to read out here. So yes, big shout-out to the Pottingers, who are shouting to 2 generations who are playing together tonight. Good to hear from you guys. We got Samantha Rose, who's texted in. She says, can you give a shout-out to our team, Germany and England Matrap team, Sam and Dale from the UK, and Dave in Germany. The Ginger 3 is our team name. Yes, I'll look out for you guys. Debbie Furlong says, I can't hear you over the music. That's fine. I've sorted that out, I think. And who else is there? We've also got Jackie Gamble, who's texted in, who says she's been cancelled. She's been looking forward to this, and she's probably playing from a Zoom team from USA, France, and Northern Ireland. So big shout out to you guys. Thank you very much for playing this evening. Anyway, like I said, I've got a couple of wee announcements to make. Like I said before, I'm raising money for Harbourside Radio. We've got a GoFundMe page set up as well. The link is in the Facebook and Instagram. If you go over to the Harbourside Radio page, like, it's a really, really important thing that we're doing here in Warren Point, and we've got so many great shows and harnessing some fantastic talent So yes, head over to the GoFundMe page. Like I said, normally I always ask for funds to kind of raise money for my quiz, but you know what? Tonight and for the next couple of weeks, we're going to be raising money for the radio station because it's a really worthwhile effort. I love the people I work with here. It's a brilliant thing for our community, and it's given us a lot of hope and optimism, especially during these dark times. So yes, GoFundMe. That's over on the Harbourside Radio Facebook and Instagram pages. If you scroll on down and look there, it's really, really appreciative of that. Also, to give you a heads up, on Harbourside Radio on the 20th of February, I'll be doing a 24-hour broadcast to raise money for the station as well. And on March 17th and the day before, we're going to be doing a massive programme of Irish music, culture, arts, everything, dance, poetry, theatre. We're going to be broadcasting it, all the best stuff from our area to you over the internet via the Harbourside Facebook page. So yes, do keep an eye out for that. I'll be posting more details on the Harbourside Facebook pages and the Big Nerd Pub Quiz pages, so do keep an eye out as well. Also, I do have another wee announcement to make as well before I move on. I'm going to be on a brand new quiz show called Lightning. It's a BBC quiz show. My episode is going to be on the 15th of February, so do watch out for that. And like I said, it was a lot of fun. Recorded it all the way back in August there, and really looking forward to see it. It's called Lightning. It's on BBC Two, and it's at 6:30 every evening. So do check that out. Hosted by Zoe Lyons. It's a good fun quiz. Anyway, let's move on to the next round. And I thought that I would do this one all about my favourite sport. Yes, it's rugby. It's the Six Nations, and it's my favourite time of year. It's one of those things, it's the time of year I absolutely adore, and it's an absolute shame that this year I'm not going to be going to any games. Normally, I do not miss any Six Nations. I always try to go to at least one game every single year. Last year, I had tickets to the French match-up against Ireland in Paris, and unfortunately, that was called off just as the lockdowns just started all over Europe and the UK, so unfortunately didn't get to that. And this time, this is my first year not going to Six Nations games since about 2005, so I'm really disappointed, but there you go. The games are all going to be on TV. Let's test your knowledge on the greatest sporting event there ever is between different nations. Here we go. Round 5, question number 1. As we know, the Six Nations was the Five Nations at one point, but who were the last team to win the Five Nations before it became the Six Nations in 2000? Italy making up the numbers to bump it up to 6 in 2000, bumping it up from 5 to 6, and haven't really got anywhere beyond 4th. You know, it's been a fraught time for the Italians, for the Azzurri. But round 5, question 1. Who were the last team to actually win the Five Nations before it became the Six Nations in 2000? Round 5, question 2. Which trophy is annually contested within the Six Nations between Scotland and England? It's one of the oldest international sporting trophies in the world, I believe. Also, it's one of many competitions which were played within the Six Nations. Obviously, there's the Triple Crown, which is played between the home nations. There's other little... So every other country plays each other for just like a kind of mini trophy or mini tournament within that. And, you know, sometimes it's good to come away with a Triple Crown. And, you know, after a successful, mediocre campaign, always good to come away with a Triple Crown. But yes, which trophy is annually contested within the Six Nations between Scotland and England? Round 5, question 3. Who held the record for the most tries at last year's Six Nations Championships? Of course, the games were split up because of COVID and restarted there. England were ultimately the champions of that. Round 5, question 3. Who actually held the record for most tries at last year's Six Nations Championship? And round 5, question 4. Which team are the reigning Women's Six Nations champions? That's round 5, question 4. Yes, the women's game taking prominence as well, getting full coverage on the BBC and ITV. And produces some really interesting results, I always find. It's always a bit of a toss-up about who's going to win it every year. Some very, very strong performances from all the home nations. But round 5, question 4. Which team are currently the reigning Women's Six Nations champions? Round 5, question 5. Which brand is the primary sponsor of the Six Nations tournament? It's round 5, question 5. Which brand is the primary sponsor of the Six Nations tournament? What do I mean by that? Well, it's called a something Six Nations tournament. So yes, that's what they call it. You look kind of like the Barclays Premier League. Is it even called that anymore? I don't even know. Or the Carabao League Cup or whatever, you know. But yes, which brand is the primary sponsor of the Six Nations tournament? And finally, which of these is the first fixture of this Six Nations Champions? So, could be any of those. If you know your rugby and you know your fixtures, and it's one of those things. I call it Sixmas Eve. I do love it so much. I'm so disappointed I'm not going to any games this year, but there you go. It's one of these things. It happens. And kind of, it's FOMO in a way. If I'm missing out, everybody else is missing out too, so it's not that bad. Great Brian O'Driscoll there. Gotta miss him. Anyway, there's your roundup there of Six Nations questions. But who were the last team to win the Five Nations before it became the Six Nations in 2000? 2. Which trophy is annually contested between Scotland and England? 3. Who held the record for the most tries at last year's championship? 4. Which team are the reigning Six Nations women's champions? 5. Which brand is the primary sponsor of the tournament? And finally, which is the first fixture of this year's games? Alright, so 5 down. Like I said, God, that's whetted my appetite. I'm getting all excited now for that tournament. I've been to every single stadium in the Six Nations games and everything like that. And I have to say, my favorite of them all has to be the Millennium. It's so good, and you haven't lived until you've been in a giant stadium full of Welsh people singing. It's something to behold, and playing rugby, which they're also good at. But yes, Millennium Stadium in Cardiff, or the Principality Stadium as it's known as now, just so good. You're like in your seats and in the bars within like 5 minutes because it's just right in the town. It's just perfect. Anyway, there we go. Enough nattering from me. So going on from sports to something rather tricky. Possibly one of the hardest rounds I've ever had to write, but here we are. Mathematics. Yeah, you know, sometimes it's when I'm coming up with these rounds, I always have to look at myself and think, okay, I don't like maths, but I know there's probably people out there that do. Probably not many, but we're going to test your knowledge on mathematics and mathematics-related subjects here in this 6th round. So let's see how you do with this. Round 6, question number 1. The following sequence of numbers is known as what? The next number is followed by adding up the 2 numbers before it. So the number sequence looks like 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34. And so on and so on. So yes, round 6, question number 1. All about numerical sequences. But the following sequence of numbers is known as what? The next number is followed by adding up the 2 numbers before it. So 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34. So there we go. I hated maths growing up, but we're doing it. And I had to verify these questions a fair bit. And yes, I always think, you know what? Most of these questions, when I write them, I always figured I can answer them. But yeah, this is pretty hard. Round 6, question number 2. How many prime numbers are there between 0 and 100? So a prime number, a number that can only be divided by itself and 1. How many prime numbers are there between 0 and 100? I'll give you a chance to do your working out if you have a bit of pen and paper handy, but you know. So there we go. Round 6, question number 2. Round 6, question 3. The International Mathematical Union has awarded which medal to up to 4 mathematicians under the 40 years of age every 4 years. This is a very prestigious mathematics prize. If you watched Good Will Hunting, that might give you a clue into what this is or what this could be. Well, here we go. The International Mathematical Union has awarded which medal to up to 4 mathematicians under 40 years of age every 4 years. Now, I know they do give out a number of prizes, but this particular one is considered the highest accolade you can get in mathematics. Round 6, question 4. How many months are there in 12 years? That should be easy. Just work it out, really, you know. Round 6, question 4. How many months are there in 12 years? I think that's probably the easiest one in there. Yep, it is actually. Think about it. It's pretty straightforward. Round 6, question 5. What is the next number in this series? 2, 9, 30, 93. Okay, so what's the next number in this series? 2, 9, 30, 93. I promise I will look that up for you just to double check, so you know what it is. Here's your next one. Round 6. Oh, that shouldn't be there. I'll just give it that. Round 6, question 6. It's the Mongolian flag, but nothing relevant to this. What is 9/10 of 2000? It's round 6, question 6. What is 9/10 of 2000? Again, give you some time. Work this one out. Scribble it down on a piece of paper if you can. But here we go. Round 6, question 6. And there is your roundup of mathematical questions. So the following sequence of numbers is known as what? The next number found by adding the two numbers before it. 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34. 2. How many prime numbers are there between 0 and 100? 3. The International Mathematical Union was awarded which medal to up to 4 mathematicians under the 40 years of age every 4 years? 4. How many months are there in 12 years? 5. What is the next number in the sequence? 2, 9, 30, 93. And finally, what is 9/10 of 2000? Okay, well, it's just coming up 20 to 9. We've got 2 more rounds to go, which should just bring us up to about 10 to. Let's see how you guys get on with this one. This next round tonight, it's all about. Sometimes when I write these, I actually forget what I've done next, but here we go. All about. Yes, this one's fun. Arts festivals. Yes, the kind of arts and literature. And, it's kind of thinking about various artistic festivals that happen throughout the calendar, the cultural calendar, as you would. But it's one of those things, like, lots of these have been cancelled, obviously, due to the events at the moment. And I'm just kind of looking them up and being very jealous of a time when we could go to these things. But here we go. Questions all about arts festivals. Here we go. Round 7, question number 1. The Biennale is a famous arts festival which took place for the first time in 1895 in which city? Takes place, as you would imagine, every 2 years, because Biennale means every two biannual. So that's round 7, question 1. So round 7, question 1. The Biennale is the famous arts festival which took place for the first time in 1895 in which city? And because it happens every 2 years, it happens on odd number years. So yes, should have been one this year. Still might not be this year, but anyway. Round 7, question 2. In which decade did the Edinburgh Fringe Festival first take place alongside the Edinburgh International Arts Festival? This is round 7, question 2. Yes, the Fringe is the world's largest arts festival. Goes for 3 weeks in August. First time it was cancelled since its inception. Ironically, is much, much bigger than the actual arts festival itself, the Edinburgh Arts Festival, which is very highbrow kind of art and drama and ballet and. This is round 7, question 2. But yes, the Fringe that goes alongside it and has no selection committee whatsoever. Real mixed bag. I love it. I love it. But round 7, question 2. Which decade did the Edinburgh Fringe Festival first take place alongside the Edinburgh International Arts Festival? Round 7, question 3. Park City, Utah is the main host of which international film festival founded by Robert Redford? So round 7, question 3. This town was a kind of little skiing town, I believe it was, or a little mountain town, and it's become a massive boost in tourism and money because of this film festival coming to it every year. Considered to be one of the premier film festivals in the world. Definitely got a good reputation about it. Round 7, question 3. Park City, Utah is the main host of which international film festival founded by Robert Redford? Round 7, question 4. The proms, also known as the Henry Wood Promenade concerts, take place annually, primarily at which famous venue? I love the proms. When I lived in London, it was a fantastic cheap date. You could really impress somebody by taking them to this venue, get all dolled up and go see some classical music. For very little as well. You could get tickets for this. It depended even on what it was on. Didn't matter what was on. You could go for about £11. £7 I think was even the cheapest ticket you could get. But you're just seeing world-class music for nothing. It's obviously last night, obviously really packed out and busy, but you can literally just go pop in. Because they have about 2 or 3 performances a day. Adore it. Absolutely adore it. Round 7, question 4. So the proms, also known as the Henry Wood Promenade concerts, or the BBC proms, take place annually, primarily at which famous venue? Round 7, question 5. Glyndebourne, near Lewes in East Sussex, hosts which particular type of festival each year? This is actually something I'd like to go to. I'm a big fan. And this is a very, very popular festival. It takes place in the big public estate, and people go and they dress up very nice and eat nice food and picnics and stuff like that. But round 7, question 5. Glyndebourne, near Lewes in East Sussex, host which particular type of festival each year? What type of festival or which art form is celebrated at Glyndebourne each year? And finally, round 7, question 6. Well, technically festivals, if you think about them, festivals of fashion, but Paris, London and Milan. And which other city make up the 4 big international fashion weeks? So yes, round 7, question 6. Paris, London, Milan, and which other city make up the 4 big international fashion weeks? And yes, the big fashion festival if you think about it that way. So Paris, London, and Milan. What's the other considered to be the big 4 in the fashion circuit? And there is your roundup there of questions all about festivals. So, the Biennale, famous arts festival, which took place for the first time in 1895, in which city? 2. In which decade did the Edinburgh Fringe Festival first take place alongside the International Arts Festival? 3. Park City, Utah is the main host of which international film fest founded by Robert Redford? 4. The proms, also known as the Henry Wood Promenade concerts, take place annually, primarily at which famous venue? 5. Glyndebourne, near Lewes in Essex, hosts which particular type of festival each year? And 6. Paris, London, Milan, and which other city make up the big 4 international fashion weeks? Give you a couple of seconds on that before we move on to our last round. Okay, we're at round 8 is all going to be about fictional companies. So I'm going to show you the logos of 6 fictional companies. I want you to connect them with their particular franchises. You get that? Okay, let's just move on. Round 8. Here they are. So, there are the logos. Some are in universe, one isn't, I don't think. But anyway, I'll chuck it in there anyway. So there could be either a TV show. I'm seeing 3 TV shows, 3 movies. Which logo corresponds to which franchise? So, InGen, Spectrum, OCP, SCP, Weyland-Yutani. So round 8, fictional logos. Match these fictional logos with their respective franchises. So just match them up. Oh, sorry, my bad. Yes, number 5 and number 6 actually should be over. So yes, if you go over, read them from left to right. So yes, number 5 should be actually number 4, and number 6 should be number 5. Okay, I'm actually just going to very quickly see if I can fix this. Just going to put this in. So that's number 4. Let's get this fixed. There we go. That's number 4. Just in case any doubt. So I was in a bit of a rush building this quiz tonight, so screwed my graphics up a bit. That's number 5. And this is number 6. Gonna get these in. Make sure they're all in properly. And that's number 6 there. Alright. There we go. Apologies for the confusion. Lots of gremlins in the system tonight. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Those are the companies there. InGen. Second one there's Spectrum. That might give you a clue. OCP number 4. SC&P number 5. And 6, Wayland Yutani. Building Better Worlds. So I've just chucked those up there for you. Just so there's no avoidance of doubt. Match the franchise to the particular one. Like I said, I know it's never said number 5 is. So no trick questions here. Like I said, they are reading left to right. So InGen, Spectrum, number 3 there, number 4, number 5, and number 6. So that's round number 8. I will give you another minute at that until 20:54 by my watch. And then we'll take a quick break. I'll see if I can compile the answers for tonight's quiz. And we'll see how we get on after this. But anyway, like I said, just for the avoidance of doubt, so it does read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Those are the correct answers. Ignore the kind of green text underneath. 4, 5, and 6, that's the correct order. Those, I want you to match the companies to those logos, or those fictional companies to their respective franchises or films or TV shows. So up to 20:54, that's when I'm giving you by my watch, and then I'm going to take a quick break and just see if I can compile tonight's answers. Actually, because it's like my computer is acting quite slow this evening. So we just have to see we just have to play this by ear. This might take quite a while to load up. I might not be able to reveal who the winners are tonight, but we'll have a go. I will announce them at the very end if I can't bring them up on the screen. And all you have to do is hit submit on your answer sheet. You'll get your scores. Don't forget. But do stick about whilst I read out the answers. Sure, you want to know what you got right and what you got wrong. So there we go. There's 20:54 by my watch. I know I'm probably a little bit ahead of you in terms of time because there's a big delay in this. But yes, thank you so much for playing Big Nerd Pub Quiz tonight. I'm going to see, getting fair amount of responses tonight for this quiz. I'll give you one more minute to get your responses in up until 20:56, okay? 20:56 by me. So that's give you another minute. I'll probably incorporate a wee countdown clock or something like that into this. You're giving me good ideas here. But I hope you're all well. I've got a couple more wee shout-outs to do, actually, just while I'm here. Big shout-out to Pia, who's playing tonight. Big shout-out to all the Guckins, the Barons, and the Pavlovas, and they're playing in Dublin, Leitrim, Letterkenny, and Latvia. Amazing. That's fantastic. Thanks very much. Say hi to the Price family in Devizes. Oh, yes, I know where that is. In Wiltshire, isn't it? Yes, good to hear from Debbie Furlong there. Yes, and thank you so much for playing the quiz and supporting the quiz this evening. Like I said, normally I'd always kind of make an appeal to, to support the quiz via Patreon or PayPal for myself. However, I am making an appeal to raise money for this fantastic radio station, Harbourside Radio. We make some really, really great content. There is the GoFundMe page, which is up at the moment, the GoFundMe page, and that is on Harbourside Radio's Facebook and Instagram. If you go to the Instagram, there's a link tree there. There's a link to the GoFundMe. I'd really, really appreciate it if you did that. Much love. You've been such a good support for me over these last couple of months. But, I think it's time to give back. And this station, we're going from strength to strength. and going head and shoulders above a lot of the local competition around here. A lot of the stuff we're doing is fantastic, and we're doing a big St. Patrick's Day celebration this year, and a massive 24-hour a massive 24-hour broadcast, which I'm going to do the quiz at some point. I've also thought about doing a 24-hour quiz, but that would be absolutely mental. It'd be me here doing quiz questions all day, but I might do that for charity someday further on down the line, but I'd need someone to help me set it up, because I'd be absolutely shattered. But anyway, let's see how you get on here tonight. I've got all the responses in, or most of them in already. I'll create the old wee spreadsheet here and see how you have got on. But in the meantime, here are tonight's answers for the Big Nerd Pub Quiz. Let's see how you got on. So yes, GameStop was the company that everybody shorted and screwed over all those hedge fund managers. Well done, you guys. The woman is the head, became the Prime Minister. Halas, she became the Prime Minister of Estonia. In the movie Dig, it's a burial ship. It's an ancient burial ship that they uncover. Mars is the planet which Perseverance is going to. The Animals is the guy who played a guitar for them. And West Ham United, Jesse Lingard went to them. Next up, so those albums, Strange Ways Here We Come was the Smiths. Gonna bring up the answers so I can see what they are. Yes, Black Star, David Bowie. Oasis, Into the Outdoor was Led Zeppelin. R.E.M. and Icky Thump was the last album by the White Stripes. Those terrible film directors and terrible films. Ed Wood directed Plan 9 from Outer Space. Idris Elba was in Cats. The Room is the terrible movie featured in The Disaster Artist. Paul Verhoeven directed Showgirls. Catwoman got the Razzie for Worst Actress. And M. Night Shyamalan directed all those terrible movies. You forget. Round 4, Wilika was the first dog in space. Alan Shepard, the first American in space. Werner von Braun was the German engineer who helped the Americans get into space. Gus Grissom, the first person to go into space twice. Gemini was the project between Apollo and Mercury, and Eagle was the lunar module that landed on the moon. Yes, to clarify, Alan Shepard, the first American in space, not the first American in orbit, however, he did do a suborbital hop flight. The Six Nations questions. Scotland are the current reigning Five Nations champions, and they haven't really won anything else since that. The Calcutta Cup is the competition between England and Scotland that is played every year. Charles Oliver is the current try-scorer champion of last year's Six Nations. England are the women's Six Nations champions. It's currently the Guinness Six Nations Championship as well. It used to be the RBS Six Nations, now it's the Guinness Six Nations. And Italy versus France is the first game of the tournament. So first up, we got the Fibonacci sequence. There are 25 prime numbers in between 1 and 100. The Fields Medal is the equivalent of the Nobel Prize in mathematics. 144 is the number of 12 multiplied by 12 months. 282 is the next number in that sequence, and 1800 is whatever it was. I can't get the question up, but anyway, I forget what it is. Finally, so those questions all about festivals, arts festivals. So you have the Venice Biennale. The Edinburgh Fringe goes all the way back to the 40s. 1947 was the first one. The Sundance Film Festival, held in Park City, Utah. The Royal Albert Hall is the one in where the Proms is held. Glyndebourne Opera Festival is held every year in Lewes in Glyndebourne. And New York is considered to be the fourth one. New York, Milan, Paris, and London Fashion Weeks. And finally, those companies. So yes, Jurassic Park was InGen. That's the company that make all the dinosaurs. Captain Scarlet versus the Mysterons. He's a member of Spectrum. The Man from U.N.C.L.E., the United Nations Command for something intelligence, or I forget what it is. It's been ages since I've seen it. RoboCop, OCP, Omni Consumer Products. Mad Men, Sterling Cooper Price is the company, and Alien, William Yutani. They're the big evil company at the end of Alien. I'm still trying to get a chance. I'm gonna see if I can get these scores up, because if I can read out some of the scores and see how you've all done, see who's got, because it comes up on a spreadsheet here, but it's taken quite a while to load. But rest assured, I know over 30 people played tonight. Really, really good show for Sundays here. Like, we never used to do this. We never actually used to do the read it outs of the scores at the end of these, because normally you just know and you could probably brag. But I'm seeing a big shout out to guys. Let's see. I don't think anyone's got full marks tonight. Anyway, I can't get the sheet to load up. Anyway, but listen, guys, thank you so much for taking part tonight. Thank you so much for supporting Big Nerd Pub Quiz. Thank you so much for supporting Harbourside Radio. We'll be back again next week for another Big Nerd Pub Quiz. As always, same time, same place, Sundays at 8 o'clock on Facebook and YouTube. Absolute pleasure me doing these for you guys. Always love doing them. And don't forget, I'm going to be on television answering quiz questions for once. On Lightning. I'll let you know more about that next week. Thanks again for all your wonderful support again. And I'll see you again next week, Sunday the 7th of February, 2021, 8 p.m, first one of February. Thank you again for playing, and I'll see you all again next week. Best of luck, stay safe, and I'll see you soon. Good night.